to, and I'm not sure if you can stay, Ms. Go. I know you have to go back to the Queenie.
Yes,
But
I beg your pardon. I'm heading back to the full rehearsal tonight, so I will have to skip out early. Thanks again.
thank you so much for coming tonight. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to our last speaker, Mr. Wayne Buckley. Thank you so much for coming tonight, Mr. Buckley. Mr. Buckley is the president and CEO of Pavco, following a 6 years term as the CEO of Suntec in Singapore. Prior to his post overseas, he had worked for the Pavco organization for 20 years. Initially as sales manager at Busy Place, and then through various senior positions at Pavco, culminating to his promotion as president and CEO in the mid-90s. He's also past director of the Asia Pacific Exhibition and Convention Council, and past board director of the International Association of Convention Center. In the past few years, Mr. Buckley and his organization have changed the Vancouver skyline, the Convention Center expansion a few years ago, and the newly renovated BC Place Stadium. It is my great privilege to welcome Mr. Wayne Buckley.
Thank you. Someone set me up. I don't know how you could possibly follow that eloquence and elegance. Someone set me up. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come here. Typically in North America, people start off their presentation with a humorous anecdote. Having lived in Asia, people typically start off with an apology. So I start off with an apology. I've just gotten over a bout of pneumonia, so my voice isn't quite there yet, but I'll try and get through this. What I'd like to do is to certainly tell you about BC Place Stadium, but very quickly, I just want to touch on the convention center, because I am so very, very proud of what we created here with all the wonderful construction workers and support from the tourism community with the new convention center. And I say new convention center, even though it is an expansion. We've redone the whole product that we can take to the international marketplace. So we've been open for 2 years now, and the difficulty is that Vancouver was always known as a tourism destination, but was really never known as a convention destination. We had a convention center that was about the same size as Bellevue, Washington. And it's hardly a product that you can take to the international marketplace. So over the many, many years, all the folks that were very much involved did a diligent job in lobbying the governments on various levels to try and get this expanded facility in place, and certainly thanks to the Board of Trade and wonderful support we had from them. Ultimately, it resulted in the creation of what you have before you today. Convention centers aren't unique. Everybody's got one. They're like municipal pieces of furniture. Every city has a convention center. But I can tell you, having been associated with this industry around the world for years and years, there is nothing like the product that we're able to take to the marketplace that exists in Vancouver. There is nothing like the setting, there's nothing like the content, there's nothing like the inside of it. It is very, very unique. And that's why, even though I'm supposed to be here to talk about the stadium, I just wanted to touch on the convention center itself. The true selling vehicle that we use is to get people to Vancouver. Everybody's got a center, and clients from all over the world all say, yeah, we know you got a convention center in Spain. I just want to know about the hotels, I want to know how far I have to walk. But once you get people here, and once you conduct a familiarization tour and let them touch it, and let them move around the city, and let them see the spaces that we can offer within the center, it is a huge selling asset. So that's really what our major emphasis is. We have 3 markets we concentrate on. One is the corporate market, one is the association market, and one is the international association market. So that's why you, within the hotel industry or the airline industry, will see this various mix of either international folks coming here or corporate folks. Corporate is the toughest right now, it's the hardest because of the economy. The association market is very, very difficult because of the economy in the US and what people are offering to get conventions. We just lost a convention to Montreal because Montreal Convention Bureau offered the Cirque du Soleil as part of the opening ceremonies. And we lost another piece of business, a medical piece of business, to Honolulu, and they offered $1 million towards the budget of the convention. So that's kind of what we're up against. But what we've got to show to the world is the wonderful hospitality infrastructure, the hotels that we have, the first-class experiences that all you folks provide, and of course the convention center. So very quickly, if I can, am I pushing buttons? Just very quickly, it's been a great year. It's a record year, 2011. We've had 59 conventions. Just to put that in perspective, the original convention center, we don't say old, we don't say new, we say east and west. So the convention center that's housed in Canada Place, excuse me, would average about 11 conventions a year. So now we're at 59, 600 events. I apologize to all the hoteliers here, but we've become a venue that is attracting a lot of weddings, particularly in the summit, and we will compete with you as best we can. We've ensured most of the GMs in town that we'll keep our prices at least as high as the highest hotel, if not higher, 15% above. But we have got some kind of unique rooms, so there's a lot of weddings and special events and so forth. We try not to do many trade and consumer shows. We try to leave that up to the stadium, but there are some shows that do want to stay there. So. This is just an example of some of the conventions that we've had over the past, this year. As I said, it's a record year for conventions. We won't see that for another couple of years. 2012 is a good year, 2013 is a tough year, 2014 is a great year. We're now booking to 2019, so that's kind of, we won't see the fruits of our labor in this business because it's so far out. We just bid on a conference based out of Brussels that's 2020, so, and we're probably going to book it. So. Going forward, we've got some very large conferences. This is a year that has less conventions than last year, but has more delegates. So in April, we have the American Educational Research Association. There's 14,000 attendees. The Alzheimer's one, of course, is in July, and then the Project Management Institute is in October. What we try and concentrate on is the off-season months. I mean, I know that's what the business that you want, and we try to desperately do that. And we've been quite successful in bringing some of those people in the shoulder season. Just an overview of it all. Of course, this is a bit dated because the new floatplane terminal that doesn't have the floatplanes yet is right here, and we are. That's actually our water lot. We're responsible for that. This piece here. This piece will be a marina. It will house 100-foot-plus yachts, and this is the floatplane terminal, which is already in place. It's just we're trying to convince these folks here to just kind of move around the neighborhood and come on over. So we'll let you know how that's going as we move forward. So I'd like to move to BC Place, and I'll just go to the next slide, and it just sort of takes you back a little bit. This is sort of circa 1982, 1983, BC Place Stadium. It was sort of the new technology of that era. It was air supported. It was what you should build at that time because of the price. This was only $114 million. It was built as part of an urban redevelopment project on the Falls Creek, and I think it served that area quite well because of the amount of residential that's in that area right now. It's very confined. It's very heavily zoned, and the development continues. Of course, it was a part of the Expo 86, and more recently was part of the Olympics. Before I came back from Asia, the government of the day was assessing the viability of building either a new stadium somewhere else or doing something with this stadium here. And the politicians of the day determined that rather than take this stadium and demolish it and throw away all that concrete, which is really very good, the stadium's bones were very good, that they would spend the money to revitalize that stadium and to keep it in the downtown core as opposed to moving it to the hinterland, because you can get a lot of people from Surrey to come to Vancouver, but you can't get a lot of folks from Vancouver to go to Surrey. So the idea was to keep the stadium downtown next to the urban transit and accessibility as well. So the next step was that we wanted a retractable roof, and the fact that this stadium was designed not to hold a lot of weight, we went with the technology. The beauty of the day was that there was a lot of stadiums being designed for the World Cup in South Africa. And so we were able to pick and choose technology and engineering from a variety of stadiums and to put it together and to create what it is that you have in front of you today. The stadium's actually served the community well. It's been around for about 27 years. So here's your new BC Place Stadium. It is quite different. It is quite a light show right now, particularly because we have about 800 cable lights on the roof. each of these masts are lit. This roof is completely lit, and if you see on global or any of the television as they fly over it, right now we have it in the green and red Christmas colors, and it changes colors and moves around. This area right here was intended to be a window into the stadium and a window out to the neighborhood, both. But it serves another purpose. It's called ETFE. It's ethylene tetrafluoroethylene, and it's the same material that's on the outside, or was on the outside of the Cube or the Aquatic Center in Beijing, where all the lights sort of twinkled and so forth. So we have about 3,000 different colors of light that are reflected off Fritz, they're called, on this fabric here. And so you'll see quite a light show. If you're on the inside, if you were at the Grey Cup or any of the Lions games, you saw it. There's lights that run around the outside and that dances and so forth. It's just trying to keep people awake and more in games. But it's also on the outside. It's part of the light show. The other feature at the stadium that we're pretty happy with is that we've been able to create all of this glass entryway into the stadium, which makes it was pretty dour, pretty dark. We wanted to make sure that there was more light into the building and that people on the outside could actually see people moving around and so on. This shows the roof in its open configuration. Most people, when they describe opening, they go like this. When we open, we go like this. The roof comes into itself. And I'll show you another picture in just a second. It takes about 20 minutes. This is about 10 acres. Just to put it in perspective, this is 15 stories. And when you think of the stadium, you have to think of 18 suspension bridges. So there are 36 columns pulling against each other, and they're lasered into a tolerance of 1/100th of a millimeter. So it's textbook sort of engineering. I'll take you to the next picture, which takes us inside. This is the configuration with the roof open, and you can see some of the cable lights that are on there. They're quite visible from the outside and around the stadium. Just very quickly, to take you from the lower edge part of the stadium and take you up, this is a new turf. Basically, the bones of the stadium are all that's left. The rest of the stadium is completely new. So the turf is new, and it had to meet the FIFA 3-star approval in order to accommodate the new tenant, the Vancouver Whitecaps of the MLS. So it's a unique turf in that it's quite cushiony. We also built the new Empire Stadium, which we had to create for $17 million to accommodate the sports teams temporarily, and then we've now just sort of dismantled all that. And we've left the turf behind and the lights behind for the city. That was sort of our legacy to the city. That is a different turf than this turf. This turf now stays down. Before, when there was auto shows, home shows, you'd take the turf up and the shows would come in. Now the turf stays in position all the time, and there's a floor that actually rolls out and covers the whole building so that we can accommodate the trade shows. So just taking you up, we used to have 60,000 seats in the stadium. There's now 54,500. That's because we've made the seats wider. In 1982 or 83, when the stadium first opened, people tolerated a 17 or 18-inch seat. And now we have up to 24-inch seats. Most seats are about 22, 23 inches wide. And I don't care to comment on the reason why. It has nothing to do with people's posteriors getting any larger. It just has to do more with the comfort. I will, however, tell you that in some college stadiums in the U.S., there are 30-inch seats. That has something to do with posterior. This band here is similar to what you'd experience in Rogers Arena, which flies around and does all kinds of colors and so forth. Taking you up to the lower deck, same thing, all colored seats. You'll notice that the seats are no longer those old blue seats, all one color, monochrome. It's now 5 different colors of gray and maroon. It tries to provide vibrance and activity if those seats aren't full. This is the video board. It's the second largest one to the one that you see in Dallas Stadium and Cowboys Stadium. Theirs goes from the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line. Ours goes from the 40-yard line to the 40-yard line. It would be, I think it's it's about the same size as 450 40-inch television sets. So there's a lot of space up there. The complaints that we get are that people often look at the video board as opposed to looking at the play on the field. So it's quite distracting from that perspective. Completely new sound system. This is the retractable portion of the roof. It's the world's largest cable-supported retractable roof. A similar one exists in Germany. There are a couple in South Africa, and there's other new technologies that people are adopting that are very similar to this. This is the facade that I talked about before. It's a 36-foot high wall. You can see the light on there. That's actually moving around the building inside. It actually, on the bottom area here, has louvers so that you can open the louvers and allow fresh air in on those steamy summer afternoons. Coach Wally Buono would not allow us to open the roof during the remaining part of the Lions season. He wanted the noise in the building. He wanted that sort of extra man on the field, if you will. The Whitecaps, conversely, want every game to have the roof open, rain or shine. And if you can see here, I don't know if you can get the perspective, but even though the roof is open, every seat is undercover. So you can keep that roof open. It's cold though, because the wind comes in and swirls around and moves around. This is the cone that accepts the roof. And this is, it's called Tenera. It's manufactured in Austria. This product here is manufactured, the fixed panel roof is manufactured in New Hampshire. This was a complicated project. Yes, it was $563 million, but lots of construction projects are. The products from this material, or this construction project, the products actually came from over 30 countries, so trying to get all those products into the country and getting them together is amazing. The fabric actually was manufactured in New Hampshire, it's shipped to Thailand, it's cut into place, it then goes to Japan, where it's fixed onto the cable structure and then comes back to Vancouver. We had about 4,000 construction workers participate in the project. This gives you a perspective of what we've created for the Whitecaps, which is trying to take out the upper deck. So it's a 25,000 seat venue. They're quite happy with this curtaining system, although we will get to the point where there are no gaps here. Again, you can see the video over here. It's actually hollow on the inside. This is a catwalk up here that you can walk completely around the building. We actually are offering tours to go up there. We hook you on and take you around. You walk 20 stories up and look down. So one of those dare tours. This is the building from up above as we fly over it. And we were talking before about changing the face of Vancouver. Clearly we have, especially if you are in one of the nearby residences, it's a whole new experience for you in your living room. And we have a new video board at Terry Fox Plaza. We completely redid the Terry Fox Plaza, which was one of the components of this. Artist Douglas Copeland, who also did our Orca on the Jack Pool Plaza, constructed these unique statues of Terry Fox. As he ran on his quest across Canada, if you break down the film of Terry, there are actually 4 unique steps within the way that he hopped. And so Copeland was able to capture each of those in different heights. So if you come to the Terry Fox Plaza, you see these 4 statues of Terry, life-size and then quite large. It is really, people are quite taken with it, and people like it a lot better than what was there before. No more airlocks. The building is much more vibrant, much more open, much more airy. I will just come back again to the price tag, $563 million. We certainly came well within that and within the time frame that was allotted to us. That monies came from, Pavco put up almost $100 million. That's from the sale of other assets that we had, like the Bridge Film Studio and so on. And we had $40 million in deferred maintenance that we put into the building before the Olympics, which was the suites and upgrades that we did. And then the government provided to us a grant of $277 million, and then we had a construction loan which we have to pay back. We have substantial lands adjacent to the stadium that we'll be developing over the course of time. Got into a bit of a controversial fix when one of the proponents actually proposed moving a casino across the street along with a couple of hotels, and that came to a screaming halt recently in front of the city as part of the elections and so on. So we won't be doing that. Or it may be a downsized version of that. This is the stadium shot from across Falls Creek, and it really is. I actually was with some clients the other night. We actually were on the boat in Falls Creek, and it is absolutely stunning with the area there now. It's It's quite vibrant and very, very different. We are selling naming rights to the stadium. Some people think that it should be called the Bud Dome or something because it looks like an upside down Budweiser cap. A lot of people want to retain the name BC Place. Terry Fox Stadium has been mentioned on several occasions, and we'll be making some announcements in the near future. So that's it. That's your new BC Place Stadium. We've already, since September 30th, we've had 450,000 people in the building for the events so far. We intend to increase the number of events in the building probably about 20% over the previous, but then the revenue would be substantially more. There will be more concerts in there. We've already put Pink Floyd or Roger Waters on sale. And when we do that, I mean, from a hotelier's perspective, on average, 36% of those large shows come from outside of the Lower Mainland, so people are coming and staying at hotels and so forth. We have a new sports division within Pavco. You may recall the name Charmaine Crooks, who was a silver medalist, also on the board of VANOC. Charmaine works with us to bring iconic events to Vancouver, like the CONCACAF soccer tournament that we have in January. It's about 5,000 people coming to town to participate. We've also, we're actually going to be using the convention center for both sports conferences and sports events. We've got Canadian Taekwondo championships that are here for the Olympic trials. So a variety of those events. So we're concentrating on a variety of different iconic sporting events. So that's kind of it. I'm sorry I took a little longer than I should have, but that's your new BC Place Stadium and just an update on the convention center. Thank you very much.